9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's going on, YouTube? I hope you guys are having an amazing, what's today? Wednesday. All right, hump day. What's going on? Jesse, Dave, Christola, Shelly, everybody's in the room joining us. Hope you guys are having a good weekend so far, or a good week so far. What's going on, Empty Pockets? And Jesse, nice to see you, man. Haven't seen Jesse in a while, so good to see you back, Jesse. So Christola was asking why the timer. So basically, we wanted to make sure that everybody has the ability to join us on time. So I'll go ahead and edit the timer part of it out of it later. So for those that decide to watch this video later on. But I got a few requests last week asking if I could give more of a heads up of when we were getting ready to go live, like a 10-minute notice. A couple of people complained about that a little bit, so I apologize. Lagging? Are you guys all getting lag? A lot of lag on the other end over there? Can't stand lag. I'm not sure what's causing it tonight. You guys let me know how the audio and video is matching up. But as you can see in the title of this video and from the thumbnail, Jesse's no audio? Man, what's going on? So let me... Audio's back. Okay, good. Okay. So, as you guys can see from the title of the video, Lompoc Federal Prison Camp. I've gotten a few calls over the last, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks is what's really stuck out in my mind. Specifically spoke to a guy yesterday who's already been sentenced, and he is asking his attorney and the judge to recommend, which they did, to recommend Lompoc Prison for the fact that he wants to get into RDAP. Now, if you guys are watching this video, it's real important that you understand that Lompoc no longer has RDAP offered at the camp. If you end up going to Lompoc and you're at the camp and you qualify for RDAP, they are going to transfer you to Sheridan. And that can be a process. So if your time is rather short, like this gentleman I spoke to yesterday, only 36 months is his sentence, and if he ends up at Lompoc first, by the time he gets transferred, sent over to Sheridan, and by the time RDAP starts, it's very likely it's going to take several. It's definitely going to kick him outside of the opportunity to get the full year off. He'll be getting somewhere between 6 and 9 months off. So this is a situation that you guys really want to take into consideration early on. If you think you're going to be going to Lompoc, because your attorney maybe suggested Lompoc, told you that RDAP is there. They did used to have it there. And they used to put a manager variable and bring you up to the low security to offer RDAP, which they no longer do. So if you need re-designation assistance, we can help you with that. We can make sure that letters are formulated properly to try to get you re-designated to land at the prison that is going to offer you the best benefit in a lot of situations. That might be the residential drug addiction program. Another thing I wanted to bring up to you guys' attention is, again, I've been getting this phone call quite a bit. So as a lot of you know, Will is one of our clients. I don't know if he's in the room tonight. Maybe he'll join us. Hey, what's up, Jay? But Will was one of our clients who ended up with probation, and which is amazing. Doesn't happen for everybody. Will referred somebody to me, and when they looked me up, somehow they ended up contacting RDAP law consultants, and they asked for rdapdan. And there's some guy there named Dan, and he went ahead and played along and pretended that it was me trying to basically get them to sign up, trying to get the client to sign up with a completely different company. So it's a real shady tactic. I hope they didn't do it on purpose, but I've done a video before on these guys on some shady practices that they do. So if that's the case, we are going to try to find out a little bit. Hey, Mr. Merrick, what's going on? APS in the house. Love your videos. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Jay's got 32 hours left. Not 30 hours till self-surrendering, 32 hours until sentencing. He gets sentenced in 32 hours, and I know you're super nervous. I see you posting. I see you in the Facebook chat rooms over in Club Fed. You got a nice little thread running there. A lot of people giving you some positivity. You've done everything you can do, Jay. You've got awesome letters. Your personal narratives are on point. Your character reference letters are on point. You prepared well for your PSR. You got a good recommendation from your probation officer. You did everything that you could have been doing. Community service, maintaining a job. These are the type of things that people want to be doing that not everybody does. So, Jay, you've been an ideal client, stand-up client, the type of client we like to see come through the system, because you're easy to work with because you're willing to do the things that are necessary for you. You know, there's no point in us working harder on a situation than you're willing to work on it yourself. So we got to put a lot of love out there for Jay. I know you're super nervous, and you're going to feel better after sentencing. No matter what happens after sentencing, you're going to start to feel better because now you're going to know what's next. You're going to know the journey ahead. You're going to know how much time. You're going to start to be able to calculate RDAP, good time, halfway house. You'll start to be able to take all of these things into consideration to allow yourself to have an idea of when you're going to be back into the free world. I remember getting to prison and just, running numbers through my mind. You know, if I get this much time off, if I get this much halfway house, if I can get into RDAP as soon as possible, all of these things make a huge difference on the situation. So one of the big benefits that we also do to work with our clients is while you're in prison, we create a progress report, some weekly, some bi-weekly, depending on where you're at in your phases. But the progress report is going to basically help establish a purpose to help with additional halfway house time at a later date. You're going to read a lot of other, you'll talk to other prison consultants that are like, oh, we're going to do your second chance paperwork. There is no paperwork for the Second Chance Act. You either qualify for the Second Chance Act or you don't. And just because you qualify for it, which you automatically qualify for it if you qualify for it, doesn't mean they're going to give it to you. Just because you qualify for the Second Chance Act, which is up to 12 months of federal halfway house, does not mean that they are going to give it to you. It's just the way it is. And a lot of these other consultants out there, they act like that's one of their benefited services that they're going to apply to the Second Chance Act for you. Your case manager can request to put that in for you. It's just something you ask. Hey, do I qualify for Second Chance Act? Yes. Okay, great. Can I get it? No. How come? Because we don't give anybody that much time off for halfway house. So that's part of the reason why you don't just want to rely on the fact that you qualify for the Second Chance Act. You want to also bank on the fact that you've put in effort and you showed progress while you're in prison to stand out above and beyond what everybody else is doing in there. The same type of mentality that we do with the personal narratives and the character reference letters, making sure that when the judge reads this, he's reading something that he doesn't see every day. We want to give that opportunity a chance to also work with your narrative, with additional halfway house, by building a good character reference through the point that you enter into prison up until the point it's time to ask for additional halfway house. We're going to show taken. We're going to be submitting your certificates. We gather all this stuff from you as you collect it. You send it home. We get a copy of it. We start building your package that will get sent off at a later date with an explanation as to why you would be a great candidate for the additional halfway house time. And we're seeing this program and this process work more and more, the people that are putting the effort into it. We've also had some really good success lately, as in like the last week lately, with a client that was denied for RDAP, didn't have the information in the pre-sentence report, got to prison, went to the RDAP interview, was told, no, you don't qualify. We employed a gentleman by the name of Irving Shatner at Beach, who is a psychotherapist. He was able to do up a report, an evaluation, sent in information to the client in prison to fill out. Took maybe 2 weeks to get everything properly prepared, submitted, sent off, and we just found out late last week that he was approved for the residential drug addiction program. We are going to be having an interview with his wife to explain how this has impacted her journey and his journey getting ready to go to federal prison. Now that he's in federal prison, the way they felt when they were told he was denied for RDAP, because that's a year off of your time possibly, and then to find out that it got overturned on something that we were not 100% sure was going to work or not. It was for us over at Federal Prison Time with rdapdan, this isn't something, we haven't used him to see this process work yet. He's told us he's done it for other people, but yet, when you're charging somebody an additional $1,500 for a service like this, you want to make sure it's got a high chance of working. So we waited till we had a client that understood the risk, that understood it might not work, that they might spend $1,500 and get zero back for it, and the client got into RDAP. So now this is something that we will offer to additional clients, and even recommend to additional clients that don't have substantial backing in their pre-sentence report when it comes to substance abuse. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. Dave Morton, what's going on, my man? Who else we got? Just checking the room here. Yeah, so we got a lot of people getting ready to go to federal prison. We've got Jay's getting sentenced this week. We've got another client getting sentenced this week. We've got a couple clients that are going to be self-surrendering in October. A lot of emotions are running wild. We've got people that are calling, people that are talking to so many different prison consultants, and they're all over the place. They don't know what to expect. Spoke to a gentleman today that just got sentenced to 9 years, and he's hoping to be able to get into RDAP and additional halfway house time. And reading over his pre-sentence report, there's just a lot of information that's not in there that would have helped the situation. So at some point, if he decides to use us, that is a situation where we'd have to employ somebody like Irving, because what happens is, you guys know this, during your pre-sentence report, during that interview with U.S. probation, some of you clam up and you're not openly and honest about your substance abuse, whether it be narcotics, marijuana, cocaine, heroin, whatever it is, prescription pills, or just drinking too much on a regular basis. Or you might be embarrassed by it and you feel like, well, I don't have an addiction, so I'm not going to say I have an addiction. And maybe in your mind, you do not have an addiction, but from somebody else's point of view, one drink every day could be considered excessive, depending on who you're asking that question to. So it's completely subjective to what an addiction problem is or is not. That's why it's important to label anything and everything into that pre-sentence report, because you never know when you're going to need that information. So that's why we stress doing everything that you can do starting now to completely prepare. And man, video output low. This is horrible. I can see the ad is the video. It looks like it's streaming kind of crummy. It's clear on this side, so it's got to be an internet issue tonight. I do not know what to do between Comcast and these live streaming softwares. It's just one thing after another with trying to get these videos to run right. Damn Spokane. Guys, Florida's looking to get hit pretty hard. That's my hometown, man. Irma's looking like it's going to go tear through Florida. So if you live in Florida right now and you're anywhere from Palm Beach County and south through Miami, through the Keys, heart goes out to you guys. We hope you guys are safe. Hope if you have somewhere to go, please go. Don't be one of those people that's like, I'm going to ride the storm out. This storm, they're talking about being bigger and badder than Hurricane Andrew, which if you guys remember back in the day, Hurricane Andrew leveled Homestead. Homestead looked like a third world country when Andrew got finished with Homestead. So if you've got the ability to leave. Dave, I know you're there. You got that 561 area code. So, at least get as far inland as you can. Get west, northwest, Port St. Lucie, Jupiter. Those areas make a difference. Your house is just a house. You got pets, pack them up in the car and go. Don't be that person that's hanging out thinking it's not going to be that big of a deal, because we've all had so many hurricanes that have dodged us. I remember living in Florida and never taking it serious until Wilma and those last couple came through there, 10 years ago or so. That was rough. The house is closed up and we are stuck. I can't leave right now. Yeah, there's no gas stations right now. Like South Florida is completely out of gas. I've been talking to friends and family all day today, and completely out of gas, completely out of propane tanks. It's like you can't find anything. People are selling wood for like $45 a sheet of wood. I saw in Texas, people were selling bottles of water or cases of water for like $45, $50 for a case of water. It's insane how people try to capitalize on this stuff. So I hope you stay safe, Dave. Definitely shoot me a text. Let me know. I know it's not supposed to really hit full force until like Saturday or Sunday, but these storms are no joke, guys. It's scary stuff. And I've always been in the frame of mind that, I can't wait to get back to South Florida because it's home. But when reminded me of stuff like that is It reminds me of why. Oh, sorry. Checking something here. It reminds me of why I may not want to go back right away. You know, we're out here in Spokane, Washington. Yes, it gets really cold in the wintertime. There's not tons of stuff to do, but honestly, we spend a lot of time at the house. We spend a lot of time with the animals. You know, we go out to dinner once in a while. We're not busybodies. We're not always out. We enjoy our time at home. And that's one of the benefits of living inside your means and not going above and beyond, which is something that I used to struggle with in the past, which is a lot of the reasons why I made a lot of poor decisions when it came to career choices, doing things to make additional money and not always 100% on the up and up, is because I needed to maintain and I had to come across large sums of money in order to fulfill that lifestyle. Now that we live a lifestyle that's well within our means, we could both be working minimum wage and afford our lifestyle that we're living right now. So we enjoy our life. Our home is home. Things that we own, they mean stuff to us. So it's a personal space. We're looking for a house here in Spokane. My daughter is considering maybe coming up here for a few months, get her head screwed on straight. So all kinds of possibilities exist. I don't close any doors, and I try not to shut down any options. Just like you guys that are getting ready to go to federal prison. I don't know why this video is so choppy. Is it really choppy on your guys' side? Are you able to give me some feedback on that? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Very frustrating. Comcast. And the Comcast will blame it on something. Comcast will tell me, oh, it's because what's going on in Florida. I'm on the other side of the fucking world, Comcast. Comcast has got that monopoly. They own everything. Getting prepared for federal prison is a stressful process that nobody likes to do. And sometimes it gets so overwhelming that you start doing absolutely nothing about the situation. Source irrelevant. Not sure what you're talking about, source irrelevant, but as your name says, your name and your comment is also irrelevant. So let's go ahead and put you in timeout. Source irrelevant, you're going in timeout. Naughty. We don't need that kind of bullshit in here. Breaking up here, Dan. Sorry, Scott. I don't know what's going on, man. It's one thing after another with these live streams. Scott, Shelly sent you over some letters and stuff today. Sent you a letter that we're going to be sending over to Grand Prairie. Let me know if you have any questions on that. We will be sending some additional stuff like the death certificate, the PSR, but we just wanted to show you the letter to give you an idea of what it's going to state. And then it will also be additionally addressed to the RDAP coordinator once we know who that is, when you know which prison you're going to. So a lot of stuff in the works for a lot of people. And that's the thing. There's no cookie cutter type of a process. Everything we do is unique to what the client needs. And that's why the people that are on our team, that's why they have to have the passion, because it's not just something that you can type up a form letter and swap out, Jay's name with Scott's name. These letters are individually created for each person. And then you might need additional things that are sent off to places like Grand Prairie, Texas, or things that are sent off to the RDAP coordinator, or things that are sent off to the judge requesting a recommendation of 12 months halfway house. So there's all kinds of different processes that we try to assist you guys with that we feel nobody else is offering. I know there's a couple companies out there that do basic personal narrative preparation, but most companies aren't helping you with the character reference letters. We work just as hard on your character reference letters as we do on the personal narrative, because if you've got this amazing personal narrative, but then you've got these character reference letters which are not adding up to what's being said in your personal narrative, it's like, all right, so who's full of shit? You or the people that are here to talk good about you? So we want to make sure that everything matches up. We want to make sure the audio and the video matches up. Very much unlike this video is matching up. The audio and video is not matching up on Federal Prison Time with rdapdan. And I apologize for not getting the Federal Prison Cheesecake video up yet. Yesterday, I had a surprise call from probation who needed me to come down and give a random UA. As I told you guys, probation took me off of the color line, stopped giving me UAs every month. Doesn't mean he can't ever UA me, just means that I'm not on a watch list. But he did call me yesterday morning, and said, I just need you in here by 4 p.m. to come down and give a UA. So I had to go spend some time downtown yesterday, hanging out with my probation officer, Mr. Chris Heinen, amazing probation officer. Had a good conversation with him. He's all for me getting off probation early. As long as the judge signs off on it, he says, see you later. Love to get you off my caseload. John Goff, there we go. John Goff is the moderator. Telling everybody, don't forget to like and share this video, and share and like the other videos as well. That Prison Rice video really got a lot of views. We're talking like 50,000 views on that video. And for my channel, that's big time. But John Goff is another amazing client. Jay Hugasane, another amazing client. Scott, another amazing client. This room's full of clients today. And my dogs are crying and screaming in the background. I don't know if you can hear them, but Shelly must have walked outside for a minute. And it's quite annoying when they do that. Jay, keep Dan updated. Oh yeah, Jay's. And if John, you're on Facebook too. You can look Jay up on Facebook. Jay's on my Facebook. You guys are both on my Facebook. Jay's also started posting in Club Fed. We've got a new Facebook page, guys. It's Club Fed Pretrial. So Club Fed pretrial services. We're trying to compile getting people's interest into Facebook that might be looking at federal prison time, because unfortunately not everybody finds this channel or a similar channel. There are some other guys out there that are trying to help and prepare, and God bless them, they're doing the right thing. I hope some of you get this want to help people bug when you're getting out of prison, and realize that all you got to do is get in front of a camera and just be willing to stick to a basic schedule and talk to people, and a following will join, because this information is completely useful to somebody that is preparing to go to federal prison, whether it's you yourself, a friend or family member that's getting ready to go in, or if you got somebody that's in that might need some additional assistance. I will post Friday afternoon, whether good or bad outcome. And I've got personal contact for you, Jay, as far as emergency contact information. So if I don't hear from you, I will reach out to somebody on your contact list just in case something crazy happened. But I don't see you getting remanded. You've been doing everything that you're supposed to do. Your pretrial probation officer thinks you're doing an amazing job. The probation officer that did your pre-sentence report also, said you're doing an amazing job. So I believe good things will happen for you. You've put in that time and effort, man, and it's everybody needs to do what Jay's doing. Everybody do the Jay. Jay, I can't even say his last name right. Hugasane. He told me how to say it last time. Hugasane. Tomato. That's all right. You can start butchering my name next. So what else we got going on in the room? You guys got any additional questions for, whether it be RDAP, halfway house, home confinement? I had somebody asking me today how home confinement works. Home confinement, just so you know, you can do up to 10% of your sentence on home confinement, which is usually a combination of home confinement and halfway house. So if you got a 60-month sentence and you received 6 months halfway house, technically you could do that entire amount of halfway house on home confinement. If you received a year of halfway house on a 60-month sentence, you would do 6 months in the halfway house, and you could do 6 months on home confinement, just in case you weren't sure how that works. Halfway house is no walk in the park. Home confinement is no walk in the park. However, it does feel, at this point, it sounds like freedom. And it's crazy because the closer you get, the more intense things start to feel. Getting to the halfway, couldn't wait to get to the halfway house. Finally got to the halfway house. Absolutely hated it. Wished I could wish I could live at prison, but still go out to work every day like you can in the halfway house. But being in the confines of the halfway house was worse than being in the confines of the prison, if that makes any sense. Home confinement was definitely a step up. You're at home, sleeping at home, eating your own food, eating real food. You've got your family, your animals, your TV, your couch. Those little things that we take for granted in life. I've got a friend of mine who's going to be getting out of prison here in December, a guy that I met while I was at Coleman, and I've kept in contact with him. His name's Dan. He's actually in my main profile pictures. Dan gets out in December, and he's just, he's super anxious, super nervous. And we talk about what it is people miss with prison. They don't miss their toys. They don't miss their car. They don't miss their money. They don't miss their TVs. They don't miss their clothes. They don't miss their shoes. You might miss that stuff a little bit. You're probably going to miss your phone. But what you really miss is that sense of freedom. And when you try to identify what freedom is and what it feels like, it's the fresh air, the being able to relax in your own comfort, in your own safe place, being able to walk to the store if you want to go take a drive to the store, being able to pick up the phone and call somebody whenever you want to call them, get online, check an email. All of these simple things that we take for granted, smelling fresh air, the feel of grass on your feet, the scenery, being able to talk to people without them looking at you like you're less than. In prison, you're going to feel less than. The COs, the guards, staff members, their job is not to treat you like an equal. Even though some of them will, you will meet some decent guards, but you're also going to meet a lot of indecent guards who will take advantage of making you feel lesser than. And that's part of how they feel they have to act in order to maintain an upper hand. What's up, big boy? Big boy's watching from class. How are you going to learn if you're watching rdapdan in class? I'm not going to tell you not to watch, but I hope you're learning something in school too, big boy. But appreciate that. Just teasing you, man. But yeah, guys, that the free world and has so many perks and benefits that we start to take for granted. And a lot of you right now are realizing that because you're getting ready to go to federal prison. So you're really focused on all those heightened senses. But I promise you, the minute you get out of prison, you're going to start to fall back to taking things for granted again. That's why it's so important to find things that you can hold on to that give you that reminder, building the new habits, doing things that are uncomfortable until it becomes a part of your routine. And part of my coping mechanism is making these videos, these YouTube channels, is a constant reminder and talking about those feelings of anxiety and missing being able to sit on my couch. It brings back feelings when I was sitting in prison and it's just so loud because everybody's talking in the unit, everybody's going crazy, whatever's going on, there's just chaos everywhere, and you're just like, God, I would just kill for 45 minutes of peace and quiet with nobody to bother me. You don't have a lot of personal space in prison. You've got cellmates, you've got roomies, you've got bunkies, however your situation in prison is going to be, whether you're in a cell, whether you're in an open dorm unit, whether you're in a cubicle situation, whatever it is, there's going to be people there. And the only real peace and quiet you have is late at night after everybody's fallen asleep. If you're able to stay awake, turn on your little book light, read a book, let your mind escape for a little bit, daydream, putting your music on, walking the track. These are the only times that you get a little bit of peace to yourself. Other than that, you are with people 24/7. And just like anybody, I don't care how good of friends you are with people, when you're around the same people 24/7, you can tend to get on each other's nerves. So you have to be mindful of what you're doing, what you're saying, how people are reacting to you. If you know you're an overwhelming type of person, you got to work on that in prison, because not being able to give somebody space to breathe can end badly in many different ways, from violence to them not wanting to spend time with you. Just so many different situations can come from not preparing for that proportionally. Depends what the judge hands down at sentencing. Usually around 45 to 60 days if self-surrender. You can get an extension. I must have missed the question. How long do they usually give you? Oh, there you go. Okay. Hey, it really depends. I've got clients that have been given 90 days, 30 days, 60 days, and you can ask for an extension. But look, if you don't have a purpose to ask for an extension, like you're just doing it because you're trying to buy more time, maybe there's a birthday coming up, or, a New Year's or Christmas Day. I get it. You want to hang out for the last one. But if it's no major events coming up, and you're just trying to stall to go in, all you're doing is prolonging the pain and the anxiety of just get it over with. I'm telling you, because you're not going to enjoy those extra few days. You know, you will you think you will, but really you don't. Just get it in, get it over with. Empty pockets. Great job, Dan. This is what I'm talking about. You take such good care of people's emotions. Thank you, Emily, or Empty Pockets. Appreciate that. Or on a Rule 35. You know, depends where you're at on the Rule 35. That can extend out the situation, but a lot of times, if it's early on into a case and you are waiting for a Rule 35 and it's early on in the case, in the indictment, a lot of the times they will still have you surrender, and then if they need you to come back and testify, they'll pull you out and bring you back to county, and it's a pain in the ass. So it just depends on the situation and where it's at. But yes, we do have a couple of guys that are also working on Rule 35s that have been given several additional months while they're waiting for this, whatever the case they're involved in, to wrap up to see what they may need or not need to do. But in a lot of cases, there's not a big necessity to testify during a Rule 35 because most people end up taking a plea in the federal system. So if they take a plea, you've already served your purpose. You brought them the information, they got the plea, they got the guilty verdict by taking the plea. You're going to find out what your reduction is, 20, 30, 40, 50% off of your sentence. They don't give you any kind of promise or guarantee other than they're going to recommend something for you for bringing them this information. Again, if you're doing a Rule 35 or a 5K1, or you're doing any kind of a cooperation where you're including other people and you're talking about other people, make sure you know your surroundings, make sure you know what type of custody level you're going to be going to. If you're going to a camp or a low, no big deal. If you're going to be going to a medium or a pen, Rule 35s, 5K1s can cause you some issues. So just keep that in mind. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, pick up that phone, give me a call. You've got my phone number on the screen. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I probably should have said that at the beginning of the video. Subscribe to rdapdan right now by tapping the bell, get notifications. Also, don't forget to text the word YouTube to 35074. That will put you on an amazing notification list to make sure you don't miss a beat. If we have any time changes, which we will have in the future, we are going to be changing our times to what? We don't know. I'm still debating because I don't know. The votes aren't in yet. They're just not. But Juan Carlos. What is up, Juan Carlos? Snake Man. Juan is in the house. Juan, I need to have a conversation with you. Mr. Juan Carlos sends me some crazy messages late night. He's out there having too much fun on pretrial. But hey, you're getting ready to go to prison. Live it up. Just don't do anything that's going to get you arrested or additional time. But have fun. Be safe and have fun. But yeah, I get some entertaining comments and messages from Juan Carlos. Just random. Sometimes I don't even respond because I just laugh. I know he's just telling me because he enjoys, because he knows I get a kick out of it. I get to live vicariously through Juan Carlos because the stuff that he's out there doing, I'm not able to do. Not that I'm not able to do it. It's not stuff that I do, but I think it's funny and hilarious, so I enjoy listening to his stories. So feel free to send me those videos, Juan. Billy Gomez. What's hurricane season in Tampa? You guys aren't looking too shabby for the hurricane, right? Is Tampa in any kind of danger zone? I know, the south side over there by the Keys, Fort Lauderdale, maybe a little bit of Boca Raton. Palm Beach County is probably going to get some nasty weather. Port St. Lucie would probably land a little bit of rain. But really, Tampa's in the zone too. Jesus, this is a big hurricane. Well, Billy, my heart goes out to you and your family. If you got the ability, pack up and roll out. I know you just got a brand new baby, so no need to hang out with the baby in the hurricane unless it's that type of, not that big of a deal where it's just going to be some heavy rain and stuff. But if it's dangerous, get out of there, homie. No need to put family in danger if you don't have to. Like I said, I got a lot of friends and family. I'm from South Florida. That's my home. I've been in South Florida since I was a little kid, since I was like 3 years old, up until I caught this charge and indictment and went to federal prison. South Florida, West Palm Beach, Lake Worth, Boynton Beach, Those are all been areas I was born and raised, not born, but raised, yes. My family moved to Florida when I was real young. My father bought back then it was a Gulf station. I don't know if you remember Gulf Gas, but he bought a Gulf station and then turned it into Texaco. So he had a couple Texaco stations. And if you're from the South Florida area, maybe you know where they are. He had the one that was on 95 and 95 and Boynton Beach Boulevard. And then he had one that was in Boynton Beach off of Briny Breeze on A1A. Yeah, we should have a phone chat soon, not just on shenanigans, but some of the questions I have. Absolutely. I want to see where you're at and what we need to get doing with your letters. Juan Carlos. We've got a lot of clients in the neighborhood tonight. A lot of clients in here. It's good to see that you guys are continuing to use this chat room as a source of information, to not just get information from me, but joining with each other. We've been stuck at like these 12, 13, 14 viewers. For a while there, we were getting up there, but that's one of the reasons why we're thinking about changing the time zone. And I got to figure out what's going on with the video and the audio. I don't know why the lag happens. I've beefed up my internet through Comcast. They've doubled my price. They come out here and they tell me it's working fine. It's like when you bring your car to the mechanic. He's like, it sounds great. The minute you leave, it starts making that damn noise or doing whatever it was doing. So mechanics have some kind of a special power that they put on your car. And same thing with Comcast. They come over here and wave a magic wand on your modem. He's like, this thing's running like a charm. This thing could host all of Google's network. But yet it can't run a fucking live stream on YouTube. Google, get out my way. Anyway, so we talked a little bit today. We talked about if you're going to Lompoc Federal Prison, if you're living in the California area and your attorney is telling you, hey, Lompoc's a great prison, they got RDAP. He's going off of old information. Lompoc does not offer RDAP to camp eligible inmates. They will no longer put a manager variable on you to bring you to the low. Not saying they won't change this in the future, but as of right now, if you're at the camp and you're going to or if you're camp eligible and you're going to Lompoc, they are going to transfer you at some point to Sheridan. And the situation and the issues that can arise from that are if your sentence is rather short, like under 40 months, by the time you go through all that process and get to Sheridan and find out when the next RDAP class is starting, you may fall under the guidelines that are going to give you up to the 12 months off. And then you're going to be facing 6 to 9 months off, depending when you get into the program. So why not bypass all of that? Do your homework. Request to have yourself transferred now before you get there. Put in, and we can help you with the re-designation if you're not sure how to do that. We can help you with the re-designation process to get you to Sheridan initially, so that's where you land. Nobody wants to go through that prison transit process anyway. Diesel therapy is for the birds. It's for the birds and the people that don't have the ability to self-surrender. If you've got the ability to self-surrender, maximize it and try to land at the prison that you're going to finish your sentence at. You don't need to get processed around if it's unnecessary. I would have been on the chat the last couple days, but I'm competing in professional auto sports. Okay. Felt like you threw out a little brag and plug right there. What are you saying? The rest of us can't compete in professional auto sports? I definitely can't compete in professional auto sports. I know what cars are. I know the difference between like a BMW and an Audi. My favorite car that I've had is I had a Audi S4, which was 2000, I'm trying to remember what year it was, 2010, or is it a 9? I don't remember. Audi S4, V8, nice little car. And then right before, I'm a German car guy, right before all of this went down and I got indicted and arrested and all that fun stuff, had a little 328i, just a BMW convertible. And looking to get back on my feet still, guys. So right now we're sporting the Honda Civic. Yes, sir. Honda Civics get you from point A to point B. But I'm happy with my Honda Civic because, like I said, me and Shelly the world could end tomorrow and we could be forced to go work minimum wage jobs and we could afford everything we have right now and not freak the fuck out. That's where you need to get in your life, is peace, tranquility, focus. Focus, grasshopper. NASCAR. They took my Audi A7. Yeah, they will take stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't owe any money, so they didn't take my stuff. But I had a loan on the car when I went into prison, and obviously in prison, you're not making your loan payment, so the bank took the car. Wah, wah, wah. Empty pockets. Better gas mileage in my 1972. Hey, but I bet you have no I bet you have no payments on that 1972 Chevy C10 pickup. Don't even know what a Chevy C10 pickup is, but I bet it's amazing. Yeah, we had a different car when we first got out. Shelly had her mom helped her get a car when we first got out, and our first winter here, Shelly got in a pretty bad car accident and totaled that car out. And after that, we went and got a loan or whatever, got an actual car loan, and picked up a nice Honda Civic, which is, she named it Mrs. Beautiful. So if anybody wants to tease Shelly, you can send her an email, ask her how Mrs. Beautiful is doing, and she'll probably know what you're referring to. But she loves that car. The car has been amazing to us for the last 2 years. It's sharp car. It does everything it needs to do. We're here in Spokane. It handles the weather well. So that's all you can ask for right now. What's my opinion on bankruptcy before going away? It depends on what you're filing bankruptcy on, Dave, and why you're doing it. If you're filing it on, if it's a lot of debt and you're going to have no way of ever paying it back, or you're just concerned about your creditors going negative while you're in prison, if you contact your creditors in a lot of cases and you let them know your situation, we have seen people actually get their stuff put on hold or like freeze it where it is, and then when they get out, when I say get out, once you get out of the federal halfway house, which can be several months from the time you actually get released from prison, then you can get reinstated and start making your payments to where you left off. That's an option, but you're going to know the answer to filing bankruptcy. You're going to know that if it's, if you're talking high tens of thousands of dollars worth of unsecured debt that you're going to file bankruptcy on, whether it be a Chapter 7 or a repayment plan like a Chapter 13, or, it just depends. But if you're going to be filing it on secured debt, I don't know. Unsecured debt, it just depends. You've really got to look at those options. Too much time away, 9 years and no resources to pay the debt. It's about $70K in credit cards. Yeah, because 9 years, I forgot. You got a chunk of time as well, Dave. Doing a bankruptcy now, 9 years from now, or 6, 5, however much time you end up serving, the bankruptcy will have been discharged for quite a while, and you can actually start rebuilding your credit while you're in prison after you file a bankruptcy. Einstein decided to come join us. Stinky Stein, he needs a bath. Got to pull that closer. But yeah. Did you ever get food poisoning in the bean? No, I never had food poisoning while I was in prison. They did a really good job at cooking the food in there. The food that they made was really decent food. The food that we made off commissary wish list, or whatever you want to call it, was also really well. So I did get sick, not food poisoning. Never got a flu or anything like that. Don't even think I ever had like diarrhea or anything in there. I did get a cold a couple of times, and it was a pretty nasty cold, which everybody prison cold when you first get there, because you're confined with so many people and so many germs. It's like they tell you within your first 30 to 90 days, plan on getting pretty sick to where it knocks you on your ass for a good week, where you're just exhausted, you don't feel good, running fevers, and you just got to go through it. I got sick twice in the 13 months I was there. One time lasted a good week. The second time was like 24 hours, and I was feeling better. So that's always a bummer. You got to deal with it though. But commissary's got plenty of essentials like vitamin C, all of your complex vitamins. So you really can boost up on your immune system while you're in there. You're going to be drinking tons and tons of water, because most of you are going to be taking advantage of one of the biggest perks in prison, getting in shape, which means you're outside sweating a lot, walking a lot, drinking a lot of water. I wish I continued drinking the amount of water I drank in prison. I probably drank a couple of gallons a day in prison, to where now there's days that I'm like, man, did I have a glass of water today? I don't know. Shelly and I have been staggering a little bit with our workout routine. We've slacked off a little bit the last couple weeks. So we actually promised ourselves this week we were going to get back into it because, we worked really hard to get to where we're at physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of these things. So after this video, we're heading to the gym. Juan Carlos, they sell multivitamins. Yes, they do. They sell multivitamins. They sell, and you can get them individually if you just want vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin B. They sell a lot of stuff. They sell Mucinex. I mean, they're more stuff than you would imagine on a prison commissary that you can get in the feds. And different prisons have slightly different variations they have on commissary. Not sure how they decide that, but yes, they do. I don't want to drink a lot of water and have to get up. Yeah, that was Roy Hobbs, getting up to pee at night. But I was so concerned with staying hydrated because I know the days that I didn't hydrate properly the day before, like today I don't drink a lot of water. Tonight I don't drink that much water because I don't want to get up and use the bathroom all night. Tomorrow when I go to do my workout routines, my muscles cramp. I get fatigued easier. So I sucked it up, and once you get that bottom bunk, once you move up in the world in prison and you get to the bottom bunk status, that felt so good, not climbing in and out of a bunk. I could have got a bottom bunk pass. I could have used the injury on my arm from where I ripped my tendon off of my bicep, but I didn't want to cheat somebody else that really needed the bottom bunk, so I just sucked it up and climbed up and out of the top bunk. I was not happy sleeping on the top bunk, though. I'm kind of afraid of heights, to be honest. Do they make you buy your own toilet paper? No, Juan. They supply toilet paper. I don't even think you can buy toilet paper on commissary. I believe they also offer, for women that are watching. I just saw something. The BOP is now giving tampons. Now they've always got feminine products. Don't think if you're a female going to prison, they've got maxi pads and shitty tampons, but like the nicer tampons, I don't know the difference. They're starting to give those away for free. Bottom bunk status, yes. Bottom, and that's the good thing about RDAP. When you get to the RDAP unit, if you're going to be getting in RDAP's got high turnover because people are graduating. People don't spend a lot of time in the RDAP unit. 9 months, 10 months at the most for the average person. So there's always people moving out of the unit, which means bottom bunks are becoming more and more available, to where if you're in a regular unit, there's guys that have bunked for a couple years before they get to go to a bottom bunk status. I didn't get a bottom bunk until I got to RDAP. When I got to RDAP, I was on a top bunk for maybe a week or 2 weeks, and then I moved to a bottom bunk 3-man unit, and I stayed bottom bunk. I moved my unit a couple of times due to just wanting to get different roomies, things like that. But bottom bunk made a big, because you can hang a towel on your bottom bunk from the top bunk down and create like a curtain to block out some light. You just got to make sure the CO can see you when he walks by, so you leave enough space for the CO to see you. But at nighttime, you got your curtain there. You got your music going, or you're reading your book, and it's like your own little cubby. I know it sounds like shit right now, but what I'm talking to you guys about right now, when you get there, that is going to feel amazing when you get to that level. When you level up in prison and you get to your bottom bunk, that's when it starts to feel like, because everything that you have in there, which is not much, you hold on to it tight. Your little space, your locker, how you organize it, it just feels right. It's your home. This is your house. We used to tell people, hey, come to my house after chow, and we'll, whatever it is we need to do, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about credit. You want me to come to your house? You're coming to my house. You're just walking over to someone's cell. You're walking over to someone's cube. So but you take this stuff real. It becomes your personal space. You take pride in keeping it clean. And when you see guys that don't clean their unit and they don't clean their area, if you got cellies that are sloppy, that's a big thing with me when I move in with somebody. What I found out at first, that my first roommate was a fucking slob. Sleep all day, Bunk was always a mess. Locker was always chaotic. Granted, it didn't affect my locker, it didn't affect my bunk, but it affected my personality. It affected how I felt, my energy. I felt like he's not taking care of his space. I'm seeing it and staring at it, and it creates anxiety in my mind. So this guy named Al, I forgot it. That's funny. What was Al's last name? Summers. Al Summers. That was his name. Me and this guy did not get along. We did the first couple of days, but then once I was past the first couple of days, once the honeymoon phase was over, it's like, motherfucker, you need to clean your side of the fucking stuff. You know, it's your day to clean. And he would do the most bullshit cleaning job ever. You know, and it's like, dude, you got to we live here together. It's not just you. It's not just me. It's me and you. So, you know, I'll clean whatever, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or I'll clean 3 days a week. You do 3 days a week. We alternate a Sunday. You know, every Sunday we would do like our deep cleaning. We'd get the mop out, or at least I would. You know, I would clean this thing up right because it's where I live. I liked it smelling good. I didn't want a CO to come by and say, hey, your shit's a mess. Give me a shot for something stupid. So my area was always clean. So once I realized that you need to vet your bunkie, you need to interview your bunkie and say, hey, what's your take on a clean cube or a clean unit or a clean two-man cell, whatever it is you're going to be in? Yeah, you know what's up, Billy. Billy said facts. Billy knows. He's lived this life for way longer. I mean, Billy did more time. Billy did probably more years than I did months, or damn close to it. So he knows when you're in prison that long, you know what personal space means to you. And this is where a lot of fights and a lot of arguments and a lot of altercations stem from things like this, because you're already running high emotions, high tensions. You're in prison, surrounded by men 24/7 with no personal space. And then when you're in your personal space and your roommate or your cellie is being disrespectful and being rude, whether it be, you know, I had a cellie that thought it was funny to burp and fart all night long. Fuck that, man. Come on. I don't do that stuff at home with my girlfriend. I'm not going to do that stuff in prison, and I expect you to respect me and not smell up the air around me. So these are things that I took serious when I would talk to who I was going to go bunk up with next. And I would find people that have clean units. And I ended up, my best bunkie was this kid named Lagarzo, Argentina kid, from a younger kid, super clean, super polite, super nice. I got to pick him when I got to phase 3 in RDAP. You get to pick your cell or your cube, and then you get to pick your roommate, who you want to live with you. And ideally, you're going to pick somebody that's going to be coming in behind you so they can move into the bottom bunk when you leave. And this kid Lagarzo, really good kid, Spanish kid. Me and him got along real tight. I would say I got along with a lot of the Spanish guys just as good as I got along with anybody else. So I clicked really well with a lot of the, not so well, nothing against Puerto Ricans, but in there, Puerto Ricans were just different where I was at. Their frame of mind, where they came from, most of them are straight from Puerto Rico, straight from the island. Most of them didn't speak any English. And it was just, you know, I don't want to be cellies with somebody that I can't talk to. So I was always ended up getting cellmates that I got along with, that we could talk, laugh, be yourself around, not feel like it's got to be fake conversation. So me and Lagarzo, we got along really well. He was a super clean kid. I was super clean. We had, like, if he needed me to do something, if he had a busy morning, he's like, hey, man, can you get my day today? I'll get you tomorrow. I didn't have to go chase him down and say, hey, Lagarzo, you forgot to clean the cube, man. I swapped days with you. What's up? You know, your word's only as good as your word in here. And he was always there on time. So when I left, I felt bad. He still had some time left. You know, he had another year to go. But short timer, like me, short time, rdapdan. What the fuck is rdapdan a prison consultant for? He didn't do real time. Oh, Mr. Big Timer, you start the rdapdan channel then, and you let him know what's going on. Yeah, a lot of snorers. That's the only segregation that took place in Coleman. We segregated the snorers to one section. If you snore, you're on the east side. That's where you live. That's your home down there. Go find a spot. But, you know, it is what it is. You got to deal with it. You know, there was a guy that slept right next to me, and man, this guy sounded like you cutting logs all night long. And he was cool with it. You tap him on his bunk. He'd roll over on his side, stop for a little bit. The trick was in there, you can buy earplugs. You get your earplugs in. The trick is fall asleep before everybody else. That's the trick. Because once you're asleep, chances are you may not wake up to somebody snoring. But some of those late nights, I would stay up writing my letters, reading a book, reading the Bible, whatever it is I'm doing, some good old Tony Robbins, get my motivation going for the following day. Oh yeah, Tony. Sometimes the snoring would start and I couldn't drown it out. So I'd have to get my earplugs, wedge them in your ears. And these earplugs aren't the best earplugs. And it's kind of gross. I'm not going to lie to you. So you've got these earplugs. You can buy them on commissary. The ones on commissary really suck. But we would get them from different shops, machine shops, or wherever people were working where there's a lot of loud noises in their jobs. They were given good ones. And sometimes they'd bring them back and give them to us. So we'd get them, and you'd have to twist them up and lick them in your mouth in order to be able to slide them nice and deep into your ear to really plug out that sound. So yeah, you're spitting on your earplugs and jamming them in your ears. Kind of gross. Yes, I know. But it's prison, and you're going to see a lot of gross shit in prison. So you need to get over that right now. You're going to see people that don't have proper hygiene. You're going to see people that don't shower properly. And that's the other thing is, you'd walk by somebody's unit and they'd open their locker and they just got rancid, nasty ass clothes sitting in there that they sweat in, and they didn't wash them, and they stuck them in their locker, and it's been in there for like 4 or 5 days just getting that smell. Thank God I was never bunked up or celled up with a dude that lived like that, because that would have been real rough. I heard they have snoring rooms. They kick you out of the room. I don't know if they have snoring rooms, because most places don't. It's not like individual rooms. It's one big room for camps. They're usually big dorm type settings or cubicles, and it's they just try to put all the snorers strategically into one area, and you can't be upset. If you snore and that's the way it is, fuck it. That's the way it is. You gotta go live down at that side. But I'll tell you what, when you get to prison, a lot of these guys that snore, if you're a heavier set person and you take your fitness properly and you take it correct while you're in prison and you work on dropping weight, a lot of these guys stop snoring while they were in prison. I was a pretty big snorer for myself, not compared to some of the dudes I met in prison. I was a pretty big snorer, and when I got to prison, I lost so much weight so fast. All my cellies told me I never snore. My girlfriend now tells me I don't snore anymore. So I think losing that weight, you do tend to breathe better at nighttime. So start getting healthy, guys. I'm telling you, the best thing you can start doing is working on your fitness now. Start doing prison routine workouts. We are going to work on some prison workout videos for you guys to give you a little insight to what to do, but mostly it's burpees, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, high intensity intervals, and we're talking none of these 1, 2, 3 sets, 10 sets, an hour workout straight, to where you're just pushing, and you're going to feel your lungs expanding, you're going to feel your endurance increasing, you're just going to feel your overall ability to do things that you thought you were too old to do. You're going to realize that limitation was set by you. That limitation is not set by an age or a number. That limitation is created by us with self-defeating thoughts. We tell ourselves we can't do this anymore because we're a certain age, and we fall into that category. Shit does not exist in prison. You're going to see people doing stuff in prison that are way older than you, guys that are 50, 60 years old, running circles around you, and it's because they've developed this prison lifestyle of living that is based on eating clean, exercising, healthy living, getting your mind right. When you do that the right way and you use that focus to perpetuate you into the direction you want to go, no longer do you have obstacles. You stop setting where you think you're going to, you just go, how far can I go? I was there 13 months, and in a compound with 3,000 inmates, I was in the top 10% of abilities with the workout programs we did in there. I could ride in any car I wanted to, workout cars, and not anybody could just go join a workout car. You have to be able to do the workouts that they're doing. at the level that they're doing them in. It's not that their workouts are hard, it's push-ups, but the way that they're doing the push-ups, how many push-ups, how many different sets of push-ups, how many styles of push-ups, going into pull-ups, how many types of pull-ups are you going to do, how long can you hold up on your pull-up, are you able to go side to side in your pull-ups, all these different requirements in order to be in some of these different cars. I told myself, man, I don't want to join just one. I want to be able to join them all. People thought I was crazy. I was taking spin class. I was taking circuit class. I was taking what we call the beast mode class, where it was all these crazy explosive push-ups, plyometric push-ups. I was doing all of these classes, leg class, and these guys that ran these classes were intense and insane. And I did all these classes 4 or 5 days a week. And by the end of my prison stint, I could handle any class with anybody and ride it out to the end without quitting in every class. Some of the classes, I was first. We'd have, step classes. Who could step the longest? They have a competition at the end. The whole class, just step the entire 45 minutes, stepping 45 minutes. Start off with 30 guys in the class. You look down at the end, it's me and one guy left. That's the level of motivation I had while I was in prison. It's not because I was physically fit or I had the physical abilities over somebody else. I mentally was far superior than a lot of people in there because I stopped giving myself roadblocks. I kept telling myself, I can do this, I can do this. 36, 37 years old in prison doing these things when you got 21-year-olds that aren't able to do it. That's where I told myself, man, I thought prior to going to prison that I could no longer achieve this type of energy. And I was crazy. And now I'm still doing it to today. Granted, last couple of weeks slacked off a little bit, but when I go in the gym and I start doing these prison workout routines, people will stop and watch because they're not used to seeing it, and they're, here's a 40-year-old guy doing stuff that they didn't even know existed. So don't allow yourself to create these obstacles that are going to prevent you from moving forward, guys. That's with fitness. That's with prison routines, that's with classes, that's with if somebody tells you can't get RDAP, don't listen to them, fight for it, do what you got to do, keep moving forward. If they tell you, no one gets more than 3 months halfway house, don't just lay down and die because that's what you hear going around the compound. Fight for it, because every day we see the bar get raised, we see judges make statements that they've never seen somebody do. You are your own best friend or worst enemy. You get to decide who you're going to be to yourself. And if you're lazy and you're looking for excuses, well, you're your own enemy. If you're the type of person that's going to just not take no for an answer, and you're going to work hard and make short-term goals to reach long-term goals, well, then you're going to be your best friend, and you're going to be the reason why you get through your prison sentence so good, so well, so fast, and with the right attitude to get released to not make these type of mistakes again. That's the type of person that you want to be. That's the type of person that we like to work with here at Federal Prison Time. That's the energy that we try to convey onto you. We want to see you grab onto that and move with it. That's what we do. Cheesecake. Yes, cheesecake is not good for prison, but it tastes so good. And you got to have your fun days. You got to have your cheat day. I read a book called, maybe you guys have read it, Timothy Ferriss. He's got a book called 4 Hour Work Week, which explains how you can combine your work week into 4 hours by delegating. But then he also came up with a book called 4 Hour Body. And it's how to minimize the effort in your workouts but achieve these great results. And one of the dieting techniques that they talk about in there is basically a week you're eating super clean. You're eating, you're intaking the amount of calories, you're drinking, you're doing everything. You're eating good carbs, you're not eating empty carbs, you're eating a lot of vegetables, you're going through the routine the right way. On day 7, you just go crazy and you eat everything and anything. You want to eat a whole cheesecake? Do it. You want to eat a whole pizza? Do it. And the theory behind it is your metabolism starts to get used to a certain rate. So 6 days a week, your metabolism, and it starts to level off. It stops working so hard because it knows what to expect. Day 7, you spike the shit out of it with all the sugar and grease and whatever other garbage you're going to eat. And your metabolism's like, oh my God, what did you just do? And it goes crazy. And then day 8, repeating to day 1, you go back to that strict routine again, but your metabolism's still in overdrive, and it might take it another day and a half, 2 days to level back out. Well, the theory is that spiking is what's going to help you when you hit that plateau where you feel like you can't lose more weight or you can't get beyond whatever it is you're trying to get beyond. Those are the type of exercises and ideas and theories that push you beyond what it is you thought you were stuck at. Just an idea. Take a check. They got... What the hell did you just... Juan Carlos, I don't know. They got what? Juan Carlos, you're typing gibberish. Wow, we've been going for a while, guys. It's because I took a pre-energy workout drink, being we're going to go hit the gym at like 8 p.m. And my blood pressure medicine. Yeah, what about... Oh, yeah, they got CPAP machines. Those are for the snoring, right? The machines you can... If you show that you have a true, like, look, if you need a CPAP machine, make sure you have a diagnosis or something from a doctor on the street, because they're not just going to give you one because you snore. You've got to be it's got to be like threatening to where you stop breathing at night for them to give you a CPAP machine. But if you have doctors' recommendations that you need them now, it's a lot easier to get one when you get in. But yeah, they have a lot of those sleep apnea machines and breathing. They have, like for asthma, people that need intense breathing, the treatments they need to breathe. I've seen those machines in there. So they have all of the stuff available. But they also know that a lot of people are going to complain and say they need it that don't really need it. Everybody in there tries to pull something quick. Everyone's, I got a bad back, I need a bottom bunk pass, blah, 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 blah. Yes, for sleep apnea. Yep. So they do have it in there. You just got to show proof that you need it. I've seen some guys that I'm like, man, they need it, and they didn't get it. Some of these guys, just big, burly dudes that look like walruses sleeping at night and just sleeping on their stomachs. And you'd hear them stop snoring for a minute, then all of a sudden, like 10 seconds later, just gasping for air. It's crazy. So, and they weren't getting them. So make sure you can get something from your doctor before you go in stating you need that. You definitely cannot bring your own. Whatever machines or equipment you have, they're not going to let you bring in your own equipment. Canes, walkers, wheelchairs, all that stuff is going to be issued from the prison. I'm trying to get a prison interview with this guy, Glenn, that I met when I got into prison. He was the prison store man. And he was there for a while. He got to know everybody on the compound. He knew all the ins and outs. He was really just a straight character. He's one of the characters. Like when I think back about prison and the people that were there and the different types of personalities, Glenn is somebody that sticks out in my mind. I've been talking to him recently, and I asked him if he'd be interested in coming on and doing an interview about running a store. This guy made a lot of money running a store. Damn, take your wheelchair. Yeah, you can't bring your own wheelchair. It will give you one, though. And the cool thing about wheelchairs is you don't have to wait in line for the chow hall. You get to go in the wheelchair line. Or walkers. They got guys there with walkers that have, crippled legs, bad legs. Do they have canes? They might have a cane. I can't remember if they have canes. I'm probably afraid you're going to beat somebody up with a cane. But wheelchairs, walkers for sure. What else? They got knee braces if you hurt yourself. You really don't want to get too hurt in federal prison. That's why, look, I did my time the way I wanted to do my time. A lot of guys told me be careful playing sports and stuff. I didn't play football just because it's supposed to be two-hand touch, and it clearly was not two-hand touch. And there's some big fucking dudes in prison that just, it look like NFL linebackers and stuff. And the last thing I wanted to do is get killed playing, prison football. But I did engage in a lot of basketball. I engaged in a lot of handball. I engaged in a lot of tennis. So there was a lot of sports that I was playing. I hurt myself a few times, nothing serious. Rolled my ankle a couple times. Jammed fingers playing basketball. I got big into basketball. I would play 6-7 games full court back to back without taking a break. People would sit out. And that's one of the things I told you guys, that I made this mindset that I was just going to go for it 100%, to where when I first got there, I could not run one lap around the shack without stopping and gasping for air. By the time it was time to leave there, I would stop running because I was bored of running. I had completely overhauled everything about who I was, from the type of person I was, to how my thinking was, to what my mentality was, to what my fitness was, to what my education was. I packed as much stuff into 13 months that I think was humanly impossible or humanly possible to do. And if I was able to do it, so can any one of you. You just got to have that mindset of, I'm going to fucking move mountains in prison. And that's why when people say, well, what gives you the authority to, because I don't want to, it's hard to explain that to somebody, but my 13 months, I did a lot more in my 13 months than some people do in 5-10 years in prison. I didn't waste a fucking second of the time in prison. Not 1 second was wasted. I decided who my friends were going to be. I decided who my friends weren't going to be. I decided the type of entertainment I was interested in. I mean, immediately I got into a routine and kept escalating off of that routine and growing from it. So I promise you guys, you've got the time, the effort. You can do this. You guys got this in the bag. Do they have foosball? Foosball. All I can think of is Waterboy. Probably no game room, but oh man, they had we had ping pong, we had what do you call it? Table hockey? Foosball. Yeah, foosball. That's what you're talking about. We had foosball in there. We had, I forget, bumper pool, ping pong. We had pool tables. We had an actual billiards room with actual pool tables in it, and that billiards room felt just like a bar scene, minus the liquor and women. But as far as the way it looked, protein powder. They didn't have protein powder where I was at, Juan, but they had protein bars, like really good ones, whey protein bars. And I heard other prisons do have protein powder, but where I was at, no, there was no protein powder. Shelly, did they have protein powder at the women's camp? Did they have protein powder at the women's camp? No protein powder at the women's camp. But yeah, table hockey is, they didn't have, they didn't have table hockey then. They just had foosball. Oh, there goes Einstein. He heard his mama. Bye, Einstein. But I didn't play a lot of pool because there's always a waiting list and you gotta get on it. There's a movie room in there where you can rent out a movie and you can go sit in front of like basically a computer. They have like a 26-inch screen with headphones. You put in a DVD. You can sit there and watch a movie. I didn't get into that shit. I've got plenty of time to watch movies. I would, on the weekends, we'd get together. We might, at nighttime, when there's nothing else to do other than, if you want to go read, you can keep reading. But Friday and Saturday night, I would engage in whatever movies they rented for the compound. But during the week, when they'd open up the rec hall, the rec center, during the 4 p.m. rec move, man, you would just see guys. You're not allowed to run on the compound, but you would see guys speed walking as fast as they could to get to the rec center to try to get in line to get a movie. And it was just like, it was the same dudes every single day. And these are the same guys that you would see probably playing video games at home with long, scraggly hair, not grooming themselves. I'm telling you, I groomed myself in prison like I was living on the street getting ready to go out, because it's all about presentation. If you want to feel right and act right, you got to dress right. You got to clean your clothes. You got to brush your teeth. You got to comb your hair. You got to shave. I didn't have visitations. I never had one visitation the whole time I was in prison, but I got dressed up like I was having visitations. That's why when you look at a lot of my pictures, my hair is groomed, my beard's groomed. I took care of myself. I took care of my hygiene while I was in prison. It was important for how I felt. They have darts, Juan Carlos, at least where I was at. They were, of course, not the sharp darts. They were the plastic tip darts, but they had dart leagues. They got a league almost in everything. They got ping pong competition. They got leagues for darts. They got leagues for horseshoes. They got leagues for softball. I mean, you name it, there's a league for something there. We had kickball, which I had a blast playing adult kickball, which I played on the street, and an adult kickball team, which you can go to, kickball.com. Chess, yeah, we had big chess tournaments. That was a big deal in there with chess. Some of these guys, I thought I was good at chess. I honestly went into prison thinking I'm pretty good at chess. I'm not very good at chess. I got my ass handed to me by almost everybody I played in chess, and most of these guys were really good, and some of them that were okay, that would tell me, I'm just learning how to play myself, would still school the shit out of me. So I know how to play chess, but I'm not good at it. Not at all. Billy looks like somebody would be good at chess. When you've done that much time, usually chess is one of those things that you pick up because chess can eat up a lot of time. A good chess game can go a minute, for sure. Yeah, there's guys playing poker, but you gotta keep that on the DL in there because you're not allowed to gamble. And who the fuck's playing poker if you're not gambling? There's no fun in Texas Hold'em or any other poker game if there's not money being exchanged. So most of the gambling in there, that was kept hush-hush. But it did go on. But pinochle, rummy, hearts, spades, all that stuff on the regular. And I would do that from time to time too. I'd get in a good hearts game once in a while, and you get your partner that you really connect with in hearts or spades, and that can be a lot of fun. Why let cards in? Because there's a lot of other things for cards. There's rummy, there's pinochle, there's spades, there's hearts. It's not just poker, but poker's not allowed to be played. There's no poker chips. Guys would usually take an old deck of cards and cut up little squares out of the chips, and they would use those. Betting in there, commissaries like compound stamps, and everyone. Billy, can you explain what a compound stamp is to somebody? Because I always try to explain the compound. And compound stamps are currency in prison. That's what you use as currency. We also use mackerels. Little fish pouches of mackerel was a very high considering currency in prison was a mackerel. Like 2 mackerels to get you a haircut. You need to trade for something. How many mackerels do you want for this? Mackerels was one of those things that you could use as currency on the compound. Yeah, but explain what a compound stamp is versus a stamp that comes in on an envelope. Like where does the the compound stamp come from? It's a hard one to explain to somebody that doesn't know. It's like I've tried to explain this several times, and it's like it's like a really old stamp that's not in circulation anymore, but it's got intrinsic value in prison. I think they were 25 cents. I guess it depends where you're at, right, Billy? 25 cents or 50 cents for a compound stamp. So it's like when you want to buy your milks from the milkman. You might be on a contract where you're giving him a certain amount of stamps per week for a certain amount of milks. It's just different things. Haircuts. Even though the barber shop is free, if you want a good haircut, you're not going in there for free. If you go in there and say, I don't have any money, okay, I'll shave your fucking head. Now get out. Why mackerel? High protein. Mackerel is just one of those things that you can, like, when I first got there and I saw mackerel, I was like, no way in hell will I ever be eating that smelly looking fish out of a pouch. By the end of my prison sentence, mackerel and hot sauce was the bomb. I love mackerel. I can't get that kind of mackerel. It was Fresh Catch is the brand that makes it in there. Cheap, nasty fish. You could get mackerel. You could get tuna fish. But mackerels were more, even though tuna costs more off commissary, mackerel was considered a currency. Like you could use mackerels to trade for other things. You could buy clothes. You could buy shoes with mackerels. Mackerels was definitely the go-to prison currency other than compound stamps. But it's amazing the meals, mackerel and rice, mackerel in your burritos, mackerel on your pizza. It sounds absolutely disgusting right now, but these guys are able to create some amazing meals out of something that you would never imagine in your life tasting good. And not only does it taste good, you think about it once you're out of prison. I think about it to this day. I wish I could get somebody in prison just to send me a bunch of mackerels in the mail. Those type of mackerels. There's no bones in them. You squeeze out the oil, maybe rinse it out a little bit, get some of the fishy taste out of it, and you cook it up right. Yum, yum, yum. Mackerel, mayonnaise, and hot sauce. Tastes like smoked fish dip. Amazing. Memories. This is why I like doing these videos, because it reminds me of these type of things. All right, guys, we're an hour, 30 minutes into this. We are going to wrap it up. Can I get some at the pier? Yeah, it's not the same. You got to get the mackerel out of the pouch. Fresh Catch mackerel. Yeah, they sell them at the store here too, but it's not the same. It's not the same. We buy books on commissary. You have OGs holding on to 25 stamps from 1985, still getting money because the value never changes. And yes, Mac is the shit. All right, that's why I love Billy, because he knows. He's been there. He's keeping it real. Billy's been down for a minute. But yeah, man, mackerels and stamps. That's all you got in prison. That's your money, guys. That's the money in your pocket. That's what it all matters. No currency in there. No paper money. Mackerel in a bag. Yeah, if you can find it, let me see what you're looking at. Send me a picture, Mike. But Fresh Catch, and you can't just go online and buy Fresh Catch because it's a brand. It's part of Keefe, and they only deal with the prison population. So you can't go online and buy like mackerel from Fresh Catch. But all right, guys, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, like, share. Comment on this video after it renders. It's going to take a minute because it's gone for a minute. But I appreciate all of you guys. Federal Prison Time with RDAPdan would not be where it is today with all of the love and support from you guys. We're growing this channel. We're growing these videos. We're growing the content. And it's fun every single day. I love every single one of you. I will see you guys on Saturday. And we'll be talking about something fun and interesting. All right, guys. Have an amazing night. Talk to you soon. RDAPdan. Peace.